it's Alex again and welcome back to the Adventure Newbie channel. I wanted to tell you today about a modification which I delayed and I regret delaying it. So that mod is the folding brake and clutch levers that I was going to put on the bike. And I'd spent a bit of money on a few other mods and I thought I could get away with that because I'd put the handguards on the end of the bars and I thought that would be enough protection. But what you find with the handguards is even when they're torqued up to the correct specification on the end of the bars, they can still move if the bike goes over and hits a hard surface. They can still get pushed upwards and that will expose the levers to damage. Now this happened to me when I was down at a beach and I'd parked the bike on some fairly uneven ground and it wasn't level enough. And a big gust of wind actually blew the bike over, which really surprised me. And it went over with a big crash and I was really irritated with myself. I was just really cross and thought I was really foolish. And what happened was the brake lever got a little bit displaced downwards. It got bent in slightly the wrong direction. The actual lever itself wasn't bent, but there was damage inside the housing where it goes into the handlebar. And one of the big things I learned from this is that even if it looks like things are okay, there may be related damage to trauma like this. And I sort of equate this to doing medicine. When we're learning medicine, if you're examining a joint or you get sort of, a fracture or an injury, you're always told to examine the joint above and below that joint. And I think that's really relevant to the bikes that we ride. We need to be looking to the surrounding areas to make sure there's no connected damage from that obvious trauma that's happened. So I'm going to show you a film of when it happened. I don't actually catch the event, but you will see a little bit about where it happened. And then a few little bits and pieces about some of the subtleties of installing, especially the brake lever. And I'll try and show you the damaged part as well, which wasn't very obvious. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you feel it's useful and I'll come back to you at the end. So I just rather foolishly left my bike quite vertical with the side stand and it blew over in the wind. I've been replacing bits, but actually if you look at this, it's actually bent the brake lever a bit, so I've managed to force it back upwards a bit with a bit of brute force, but it was actually bent down that way, so the handguard had moved up that way. Quite a good scuff on the edge of it there, but fortunately protected what it needs to protect, only slight damage, but I think I will be getting the levers that go backwards. I think it's probably a good investment. So just looking at this again, brake lever bent down that way a bit, so I've bent that back up. Fortunately it's not damaged here, but then you've got the scuff on here, that's where it took it. And if you go down here, that's the hole in the ground where it hit. It was quite a thump actually. So I've just had these aftermarket brake and clutch levers delivered. They come from Redline Motorcycles, they're KTM PowerParts, and the reason I did this was because I vaguely bent the brake lever after dropping the bike, and that was even with the handlebar guards. So I just wanted these levers which actually fold up if they get hit, and they're a little bit shorter as well, just to try and protect it, because I really don't want to get stuck out there with no brake or no clutch if levers break. So hopefully this is a good way of protecting the clutch and brake and the driving controls. So I'm going to have to go at fitting them, see what they're like. They look pretty simple, they look really beautifully made actually, really nice anodized aluminium, really nicely machined. So looking forward to seeing how those perform on the bike. So if you look here, that's the little sheath that goes down through the middle. So you've got two bits here, you've got this part and then you've got the actual lever itself, which we need to change. So we need to get out this bit, which is proving quite challenging because I think it distorted a little bit when it bent slightly. So I've got it that far out. I'm just going to try the mole grips now. Okay, so mole grips didn't work. You can see that piece is actually cast aluminium, so it just crumbled on me. I think it might have been a bit distorted anyway. So you're going to have to just keep working with the hammer and screwdriver to get that out without damaging anything else. So I've managed to get the captive bit back in now, so that's the bit that holds it onto the handlebar mount. This is actually taking a little bit of force. It's a very, very tight fit. I suppose you could put it in the freezer first. That might shrink it a tiny bit so it goes in better, but it is just going in gently with a little bit of gentle hammering. But I'm using the handle of a screwdriver, plastic screwdriver, just so this doesn't get damaged or distorted in any way. But it's going to take a bit more to get that in, but it's holding this bit now. Okay, so I made a little mistake there and put this in before doing the spring, but a little workaround to get it out without distorting it. I just used a little socket to do it. So you get you put a socket on the end and a screwdriver on the top, like a handle of a screwdriver or a piece of wood, and hit that, and it all came out really smoothly and really nicely. Right, there's my workshop, including dog. I just have to wait for sunny days to do stuff. So if you look now, I've got this halfway back in, got the spring which isn't captive, so it does fall out. It takes a little bit of lining up, because this spring forces that bit up, so you just need to get it lined up well before putting some pressure on. Might be worth having another person here and getting 4 hands involved. So I think the brake was a lot more challenging to do than I possibly expected, but just being a bit methodical, it's all gone together well. And then hopefully these handles, which go like that, will stop any damage in future, and especially damage to this part and this part, which I was a bit worried about. But the brake feels absolutely fine now, all good. Happy with that. I hope you enjoyed that video and you've learnt something from my mistakes. Part of being an adventure newbie is that I'm pretty methodical and I'm pretty logical, but I still get things wrong, and what I really want to do on this channel is try and share any mistakes that I make so that hopefully people can learn from it and avoid those mistakes themselves. So thanks for watching. It'd be great if you'd subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you again. You can't tell me the day can stand.